Hey, good morning, everybody. Doing things a little different this morning. I already went on my little exercise routine. I just did a short walk this morning. I went down by the Poughkeepsie waterfront. There's a beautiful waterfront area. You can walk down along by the water. There's a child's museum over there. There's all kinds of nice stuff over there. So, skate park, stuff like that. So, me and Nicole, my little partner in crime over there, she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and then we went over to the first place we went is my usual walk by the pond. We did two or three laps of the pond, and then we went down by the Poughkeepsie waterfront, and we walked the length of the waterfront, and then came back to the car and came home. So, although I love to make the videos during my walks, and I try to make it a routine, today was just, I go back to work tonight. It's my last day to spend with Nicole, so I use that time to have quality time with my girlfriend instead of making a video. So, in lieu of that, I'm going to do something a little different. I've been talking a lot about eating on the budget doing the carnivore diet. And I just want to kind of show you guys that I'm not just talking about it, I live by it. What I'm going to show you is how I eat twice a day. The first meal is exactly how I show you. I usually do it a little earlier than this, or sometimes a little later. But I just got hungry. It's just about noon. So I'm going to do it for you now. I prefer red meat. So can you do it cheaper than this, not eating red meat? Absolutely. But for what I'm trying to do, and the stigma attached to this diet is that you can't do it because of the red meat. It's expensive, this, that, and the other thing. And it's really, primarily red meat is the most nutrient dense. So that's kind of where your allegiances should lie if you're going for health purposes. Me, like I've said a million times, I had a million different health issues. I was very sick. I was extremely diabetic. I had a lot going on. So for me, this diet is about, more than anything else, getting back to healthy, which is I've pretty much achieved. Now I'm maintaining. And my choice for doing that, I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go with the most nutrients I can get that my pocket will allow. Because at the end of the day, I still got rent to pay. I still got a car to maintain. I still got a family to care for. I still have, doctor bills and loan payments and credit cards just like everybody else. So I don't want to overcomplicate it more than it really has to be. So I'm really budget minded. I didn't start off that way. I started off this saying, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make all these restrictions, make all these sacrifices, I'm going to eat ribeye. For me, I could do it. I can afford it. Just afford it. It's not realistic. I actually started with filet mignon, which was crazy. Then I went to ribeye, then chuck. And now I found the least expensive way that I've been able to come across, barring some crazy sale, which I really haven't even seen that too much yet, to do this diet. Now I'm going to share with you my exact process. So here we go. This, pardon me while I'm off camera, I'm still here. This is how I purchase my beef. Try to give you as close a look at it as I can. This one came out of my freezer. This isn't the one I'm going to be cutting into. I'll show you that one in a second. Let me flip it over so it makes sense. There you go. This I find at Walmart. I don't know if you can see it. Try to clean it off here. It's all frosted over. 73% lean, 27% fat. It's the highest fat content I can find. Now, can you get less fat content if your body responds poorly to this much fat? Absolutely. But the higher the fat, the less expensive it is, at least when it comes to ground beef. So I went with this one because it was, at the time that I started buying it, this was $32. And if you look here, it's 10 pounds. At the time was $32, which is roughly $3.20 a pound. And as much as I wasn't in love with the idea at the time of doing this on ground beef, I can't argue that math. So that was the decision I made. I didn't necessarily want to eat ground beef. I didn't think I would love the idea of eating ground beef, but it's worked out very well for me. I've been doing 90% ground beef for, I don't know the exact date, but I'm going to say probably 7 months. I feel great. I don't feel better or worse on any other type of meat. My energy level is good. My health is good. I'm sure this says it's minimally processed, which, you know, it's ground beef. It's obviously processed to some degree, and no artificial ingredients. Do I necessarily trust that Walmart's being 100% honest? I don't know. But don't throw away good for perfect. This makes the diet affordable. It makes it sustainable, and I don't mind doing it. I actually enjoy it. So, and with this much chopped meat in the house, it gives me options. I can make meatballs. I can make burger patties. I can make a steak-shaped patty. I can chop it up very fine, make like a minced ground beef. Or I could make chunks and, you know, get it medium rare or however. I prefer the closer to rare in the middle, the closer to raw in the middle, the better it is to me. So this gives me a myriad of options, a myriad of different styles that I can cook it in, and I can get all the different levels of finished temperature, whether it's rare, medium rare, well done, which is to me sacrilege, or burnt to a crisp. I know Michaela Peterson makes something, I think she calls them crispy treats or something, where she takes ground beef, chops it, minces it up real fine, and then borderline burns it so it's crunchy, and that's a treat for her. I've never tried it on purpose. I'm sure it's delicious, it's just I prefer more rare. So, this is the one I'm starting with. As you can see, I'll show you. The convenience to this is you can cut it up into sections. I throw it in a little Ziploc bag. I have a towel in there to catch any runoff so the bag's not filled with beef blood or juices or whatever, water. When I open it up, it doesn't spill all over the place. That catches all the fluids. So it's just a 1 gallon size freezer bag. I cut the whole package up into portions that'll fit in there, and it makes it a little easier to store. I'm not 100% with that, but I do it from time to time. Raising this wind sometimes. So this is the one I'm going to be working with. Okay? So here's my process. It's very simple. I use the bread knife, a serrated bread knife. You can use any knife. I just find this one to be easier. You know, when you're cutting, you want to be very careful. You want to keep your fingers out of the way. I take about a 2-inch slab. Let me see if I can get you in camera here. I'm working, just so you know, let me turn this around for a second, a budget. This is my table lamp that I'm using as my video light. A lot of people will buy circular lights that give them a little better lighting and they can position it. Like I said, I'm doing this on a budget. Although I can't show you, the camera I'm using is my cell phone. I do not buy fancy equipment. I'm not doing anything spectacular. I'm doing this with as close to zero money out of pocket as humanly possible. Like I said, I have a beautiful girlfriend. She likes nice things, and I like to be able to give her nice things. And I have a son who is pretty low maintenance, but this week he hit me with a $5,000 dental bill. So there's always that. All right, so back to the cooking. Just so you see, this and this are exactly the same. It's just this is frozen for next week, and this is the one I'm using this week. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this indoor working a camera thing. So if the video's a little shaky, I apologize. Turn this. I'm going to be turning the camera in all different directions to get the best shots I can. So I apologize if you're not going to see too much of the cooking surface, but cast iron pan. I found that on sale. It was like $25. And my singular wooden spoon, I think I paid $6 for it. So that's what I'm working with. The knife that I used to cut came out of the Pioneer Woman cutting set. This was, I just looked it up. I got it for like $50, but now it's $75. It's a very good set. This has 5 steak knives or six steak knives. There's a smaller set that only has like 4 steak knives. That's like $25 at Walmart, which is, for this, if it's anywhere near the quality of this one. I've had this for 3 years now, and I don't think I've only sharpened one of the knives. It's been really good. I had to replace the scissor set. Other than that, it's been a great set. So, to the cooking. I turn my gas oven on to high. Okay. Give you a quick peek of that. All right, it's on high. My gas oven. There's my phone. Now this is not dirty. That's just the ceramic coating wearing off. I'm not a huge fan of the ceramic coated pan. I've read recently that they do allow some toxins into your system, so I don't necessarily recommend them. But like I said, I'm doing everything on kind of a shoestring budget. So this was on sale where the cast iron pans were much more expensive. So this is what I went with. And I didn't know at the time that the ceramic bleeds toxins. So when it comes time to replace this, when I feel this is no longer yet usable, I'll be getting a plain cast iron pan. I might even spoil myself and get a really nice one. So there's no trick to the beef. You decide how much you want to eat, and you just cut through it. Now, I have reduced how much I eat recently. To be honest with you, this much, which in relationship to my hand, I would have eaten previously. This is how much I'm going to eat now. This is about 1.5 inches, 2 inches sliced. Right? I cut right through the paper so it kind of holds it together. Not that you really need it, because you'll see as I pull this paper off, the plastic off, it holds together just fine. Now, I'm going to clean your hands off. You know what? I'm just going to get my camera a little disgusting. Now, as soon as I drop it in, now as you notice, I didn't put any butter in here. It's not because I have a policy against butter. I actually love butter. I just bought Kerry Gold butter that I really enjoy the flavor of. But this is 73% lean. By the time it gets hot enough to cook, and as you can see, it's already happening, the fat from the chopped meat starts to render off and create its own juices to cook in. So not only are you saving money here on the meat, I try to get every ounce I can, scraping off the spoon. Not only are you saving money on the meat by getting it, which is now at my store, this meat is $32 for the 10 pounds. It's $39, so $3.90, which is still $1 or $2 cheaper than the best price I can get on chuck steak. So, but you see, because of the level of fat in this meat, the butter really isn't necessary. Will it stick to the pan a little bit? Sure. Would butter probably help that? Sure. But like I said, I'm budget conscious, and a stick of butter is $1 or $2, depending on what type of butter you get, and I don't need it, so I don't use it. If I was cooking a steak, there would absolutely be butter in this pan. I'm going to cover that, and then I'm going to entertain you guys for a minute or two while that cooks. Say hello to Roger. Roger was found in a random apartment complex, as well as us, my girlfriend and I, and our friend, individually. What is it called? Trap and release?
TNR. Yeah, trap, neuter, release.
Yeah, we trap, neuter, and release cats. It's called TNR. Trying to help I don't know how familiar you guys are with cats, but a cat population in an apartment complex can very quickly become a real issue. Case in point, where Roger came from, how long are they there for working on that population? They're there for over a year working on that population of cats. Oh
yeah.
They're there for over a year working on that population of cats, because you know it's. Yeah, you can put that away for me, please.
Freezer?
Freezer. Bottom of the freezer. You have to put it on an angle so the freezer closes. They've been working on it for a year, trying to get that population under control, and they're still not done. They still have cats that need to be trapped and released and neutered. And this is out of pocket. This isn't, it's helpful of donations, stuff like that. But it's not as simple as somebody's just going to do it for you for free. You get discounts for doing strays because everybody knows it's a population problem. But back to Roger. They were going to feed this particular population in an apartment complex. The amount of cats that they're dealing with there is 120 cats. And that probably started one female cat and a couple of males that found each other, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And our friend, there's a woman who pretty much runs the show, and there's a gentleman that helps her. The gentleman went there to feed the cats, and out of nowhere this kitten walked up. And he's got, his tail was broken at some point, not by the person trapping and releasing, and that, absolutely not from us. It must have happened when he was a young kitten. I don't know how, nobody knows how, but his tail's a little deformed. But he saw the kitten, and all he had was a bucket. So he grabbed the bucket, put the kitten in the bucket, and took a picture and posted it. We saw it and immediately had to have it. So he went from that bucket to our home, and he's been ours ever since. We got him. He was probably, I'm going to say 5 or 6 weeks old, which is 5 weeks old, yeah. Which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to start with a little baby. We rescued another one named Leonard. We got him at like 9 to 10 weeks old. So it's not quite the same as starting with a little baby. So that's Roger's story. He's got a home here now. He just turned a year the other day. And he's our little buddy. So, in the time it took me to tell that story, I'm going to flip these real quick. That side got cooked a little more than I would normally cook it, but it's okay because that little bit of burnt, that little bit of burnt is a little flavor. It's not burnt, it's just seared. And flip it, and I'm not going to give it much time on the other side at all. See, ouch. I didn't put any butter in there. If I had put butter in there, when I opened this pan, it would have been spitting all over me. It's hitting me right now, but it's tolerable. If I put, a quarter of a stick of butter in there to melt down, it would be like a swimming pool in there, and I would look like a burn victim. So, no offense to burn victims, but it gets pretty significant, and if you're not careful, you could burn your eyes or really hurt your skin. So, be careful when you're doing this stuff. But my point in showing you this is I'm about 17 minutes in total, but most of that was me running off at the mouth. Cooking time, I'm about 4 minutes into this. So why should you do ground beef? $3.90 a pound. If that's not enough of a reason for you, the health benefits of eating red meat. If that's not enough for you, I'm going to have this meal done in 6 minutes. Let me say this again. For all you parents that got a couple of kids running around, full-time jobs, a house to maintain, a car to maintain, soccer, baseball, football to run your kids between gymnastics, dance classes, all those things, 6 minutes. From the point I pulled it out of the freezer, I'll do another video on this to show you exactly how long it takes. I won't talk during it, I'll just do it. From start to finish, it's probably 7 minutes. It would take you longer to drive through the drive-thru at McDonald's than to cut up a slice of beef, cook it, and eat it. Between the travel there, all right, we're going to call this done. I don't even have to look at it. I just know from the timing, because I've done this so much, but we'll take a peek just for you guys. Ow, that's very hot. Let me grab something to grab that with. That's done. So we're going to get that in a bowl, hopefully. I'm not that particular, but I really prefer, if I have an option, I prefer it to be as rare as possible in the middle. Not necessarily cool, but borderline. I'm going to smoke out the house while I'm doing it. Now, like I said, you got to be careful here. Right now, I'm getting splattered with all kinds of grease. Now, I cooked a little less than I normally cook. So this may turn into a 3 meal a day instead of a 2 meal. If this doesn't do it, but chances are I'll be fine until I got to go to work, because in the next couple hours I got to get some sleep, and before I know it, it'll be time to get on the train. There's the crunchies. That's probably what Michaela Peterson is talking about. Now, no, I did not season this, and I'll tell you why. No matter how much I season, I always end up adding more salt. So I just salt the taste as I'm eating. I eat a little bit, but to me, it constantly needs more salt. I don't know if it's my body calling for more salt, or if it's I'm not salting enough at the beginning, or whatever the case is. But no matter how much salt I put in at the beginning, I always end up needing salt while I'm eating. So I just took a step out of the process, excuse me. So now, oh, by the way, this is my salt. This is pink Himalayan salt. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is how I buy it, because I find it to be cheaper. I go on Amazon. I think it's somewhere between $15 and $30. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this lasts me for quite a while. I've had this for a couple of weeks. You can see how much I used. So, and like I said, I use a ton of salt. I have a refillable giant salt shaker that I take with me to work. I've spoke to you guys on multiple occasions about the conditions that I work in. They're very hot. It's heavy work. There is, even on cold days, you're going to sweat significantly. So you can imagine what it's like on hot days. There's days I get out of work and it looks like I jumped in a pool, and that is not an ounce of exaggeration. Knife in the I'm going to wash that when I have two hands to work with, so you guys won't get to see that, unfortunately, as exciting as that sounds. I'm going to take my salt shaker, put it on my food. I'm going to fill myself a glass of water, put my beef away, put my very expensive video specific lighting away. Oh, and I disconnected the cover off the bulb so we'll get a little more light there. So I apologize if the lighting isn't enough. I did the best I could. I'm trying really hard to keep this budget friendly. You know, like I say all the time, you can absolutely do this with little or no money. Not no money, but very little money. That slab of beef can last me a week to almost 2 weeks. For a while I was eating a lot more, so it took 2 or possibly 3 to get through a 2-week period. The two would last me through the 2 weeks. The third one was in case I wanted a snack or something. And then I would have some left over and I could buy less the following week. But now with the measurements I'm eating, I usually eat a little more than I just showed you. It lasts me at least 2 weeks, usually 2.5 weeks with two chunks of meat. So if you have any questions about doing carnivore, this is very inexpensive. It's $40 a week. I mean, I know some people can't, but I'm going to say that the majority of you can afford $40 a week to feed yourself. If you can't, you don't have to do ground beef. You can do chicken. You can do turkey. You can do ham. You can do all the other different types of meats. I like beef because it's the most nutrient dense. If you're really on a strict budget, I know you can get chicken legs and chicken thighs for $1.99 a pound if you shop right. Right? Not the store shop right, which their great prices are great, but that's what I'm saying. If you shop correctly. So, if that's one of your excuses for not doing carnivore, you don't have it anymore. Go to the supermarket. Find the meat that's budget friendly. If that's what's important to you, you have to make sacrifices. Would I love to be eating ribeye? Absolutely. But what's important to me is the budget. I'm not going to pass on certain things because of my health. I'm not going to pass on red meat, but I'm going to do it the cheapest way possible. And I want you guys, and part of the reason why I did this is to show you guys, look, if you have a hesitation, you know, it's beef. Does it matter that they ran it through a grinder? Maybe you lose a tiny bit of nutrients, but is it truly measurable? No. And the difference between this and grass-fed, grass-finished is probably 5%. Would it take you across the finish line? Sure. But eventually you get there anyway. So that's my leftover piece of beef. I'm going to grab my gallon size Ziploc bag. That is going to magically go in there when I'm done videoing. And then I'm going to go enjoy my food that's been resting for a minute or two. Alright, y'all. Like I said, it can be done cheap. All in for 2 weeks, I'm at $80. I do buy eggs, but my whole house eats eggs. I eat them once in a while, and I eat quite a few of them when I do eat them. But I don't do it that often. So I could do without, is my point in saying that. But I buy 60 eggs for $30. Actually, no, I think they were cheaper this time. I think the price of eggs went down. I want to say it was $15 for 30 regular eggs. Nothing like the large eggs, no grass-fed or whatever. I don't know how they do those, but that's what I do. So if I want eggs, I spend an extra $30 or $15. If I don't want eggs, $80, I'm out the door. It takes me 8 minutes to pick out my food for the week. So you're saving time when you food shop, you're saving time when you're cooking, you're saving money because you're not eating for less than $80 for 2 weeks. I challenge you to eat a regular American diet on $80 for 2 weeks and make it survivable. Because if you're eating pasta every day, that's not survivable. All right, guys. As always, enjoy your day. I'm always rooting for you. Stay healthy and be good to you.